looking quite beige. Got me deep in the haze. There's no more compassion, no.
Good evening, everybody. It has been a slow week for videos this week. I apologize for that, but it's that time of year. Everybody's busy this time of year. It's freezing in here because, well, I haven't had the wood stove going but an hour, and it takes, with the lack of insulation, it takes probably half the day to actually warm this space up. But anyway, I've been threatening it for a long time to get the radial saw. Yeah, the radial arm saw out of the pit of despair. There seems to be no bottom to that pit. I am still finding massive amount of tools. Some I have forgotten I even had. It is crazy that a 16 by 24 shop can hold that many tools. It's just unreal, and I still have an attic full of stuff to dig out of there. But so anyway, we carted this out. I took it apart out there in the pit of despair. We're going to bring it back in, set it back up. I've got to run a wire. We'll see how far we can get tonight. I had a long road trip today, about 8 hours on the road total, so we're getting a real late start here tonight, but hopefully we can at least get it together. I'd love to get it running tonight, so we'll see what happens. Now, if you guys are building new shops and you see this is out from the wall or from that top plate 32 inches. Now, this thing stands close to 5 feet tall once it's all together, plus it raises up and down, and I want enough room for clearance to use the adjustment knob on the back. Now, with this gambrel roof, you sacrifice a lot of wall space and a lot of ceiling height in the shop. Now, we can walk, where'd that take? There it is. We can walk in this shop fairly close to the outside. Right here, let's see, the 6 foot mark is right over in here. I'm 6'2", so I can walk pretty close to the outside edge. Now, it would seem, if you're looking at it, that you're actually going to waste a whole lot of space along your outside walls. What's going to happen with these, when I have lumber that's dried, ready to be used, or I'm drying lumber off the mill, it's going to start to come up here once I get the floor, all the cracks filled in the way I want it. We'll start, excuse me, we'll start getting it set up, and this space won't be wasted. That's pretty much what I'm going to do with it. Usually spaces like that behind your benches, if you leave them out, they end up being catch-alls for junk, and I'd rather not have that. So we're going to try to avoid that, but if you guys have been watching for a while, you know I'm terrible at avoiding that. So anyway, we're going to get this thing together. It is a very heavy, the head on this thing is very heavy. It is a Dewalt 12-inch contractor radial arm saw. It's a nice saw. It's wired up for 220 volt. It purrs. It runs nice. It's hardly been used, to be honest with you. And it is a heavy monster. Now, the beauty of a radial arm saw, they've kind of gone out of style quite a bit. Most people are using the sliding miter saws and all that good stuff. You could get so many attachments for these things to do different things. It's amazing what you could do with these if they're set up right and they're tuned right. Some of the older ones, as they wear out, sometimes it gets to where the arm itself actually starts to sag. You could help negate some of that by storing the head of that when you're done pushed all the way back in. But this thing is built very heavily. There's no sag in it or any of that. Actually, when I had it in the pit of despair, I actually cut some of my braces for the timber frame on it because it does a 4-inch depth of cut. It's a very handy tool to have. So anyway, we're going to get after it, see what we can get done, and hopefully we don't lose a nut on the floor like we normally do doing stupid shit like this. Stay tuned. I'll catch you on the other side of it. Just awesome. But it's not going to move itself. Just so damn awkward to pick up. This isn't gonna work. Okay. This was a nightmare to get apart. Holy cow. Would you look at that? I'm never going to get that lucky again. I think we say that a lot around here. Alright, so there's a foot under here. If you guys saw it when I put it down through, it requires 2 bolts so this thing can lower and raise itself. Of course, somebody taken it apart before. They used a carriage bolt for one side. As long as it doesn't shear off, I don't care. Let's see how far we can put this thing up. Well, it's starting to finally warm up in here. Well, it takes, I mean, we've had a bunch of below zero weather here. So I'll get this raised up as far as I can get it. And then we'll move it back to where it's going to be comfortable for us to work. These saws really are amazing. It's a shame that people don't seem to care for them anymore in the woodworking community. That is a real shame. They're really good. Can do quite a bit with them. I mean, there's so many attachments and stuff like that. They work really well. So there she is topped out. I think I overestimated the height of this thing. That's what happens when you can't add. Yeah, knob's right at 5 feet. In the middle here we have a leveling arm, and what it has, I'll get you guys where you can see it, that focus, come on, not there, there maybe, please. Alright, so anyway, there's an adjustment nut right there to level that table. That's pretty important. You want this table, you want it true to the blade itself and the way it's running. Now this saw cut very true for me when I did use it. So I didn't touch, this didn't get touched at all. We did not move it, and we're gonna hopefully that puts it right back where it is, but it just sits down on that end. Another bolt that goes in here. Unless you have the washers and the lock nut, or lock washer. It's been a long day. We left the house 6 o'clock this morning. I didn't go to bed till 2:30. I got caught up in a Louis L'Amour book I love to read. That's something that doesn't get out there much, but I truly enjoy reading, and Louis L'Amour is my favorite. So of course I got into a book last night and couldn't put it down. I've read the book 20 times, and well, it was. So we're going on little sleep as always. Come on. You guys have no idea how good this feels to get this thing up here after all this time. This has been sitting out there in the pit of despair forever. And I love this saw. This is one of my favorite shop tools, if not my favorite shop tool. It just makes everything better, you know, when you're using it. So this right here, this channel is 1/8 inch thick. This stuff on the outside is only like a 1/16. So take that into account if you're setting one of these up, to make sure that you're accounting for that 1/16 of an inch when you're measuring. I know it shouldn't be all that fussy, but it kind of is. 1.5 inches, well, 1 7/16 inches. But I like to start back here and move it up. I like to square the corners. So with the saw all the way in and with the saw all the way out, kind of a good practice to get into. Now we're going to have to build outfeed tables for this. So let's get this started in here anyway. So I've got to come down a little bit. Always helpful to get a light behind this thing and make sure when you're putting your speed square on, you're not on one of the carbide teeth, because that throws you off a little bit. If you're using these things for cabinet work, you want this pretty well on. You don't want it, it has to be right on. So make sure you don't have a bunch of gum on the blade that's going to hold your square out. Make sure your square is sitting flat on the work surface or on the table. And don't push against the blade to the point where you move the blade. That is right on the money. Like I said, make sure you're not on those teeth. Hold on to you, because you know what'll happen. That damn thing will drop through the floor. You guys will hear me whine about it for an hour. I never cut all the way through the insulation when I do that. And yes, a utility knife works better, but the old timer was in my pocket. Something to be aware of if you're running Romex into these. Now, I said I wasn't going to use Romex in this building, but I found a hardly used 250-foot roll in the pit of despair. Another thing I forgot I had out there, and I needed the 3-wire. I wanted the 3-wire. Really, you could do this with the regular 2-wire, because you're not going to use the White wire is not going to be used as a neutral, it's just going to be wire nutted off in there. But I drilled through the floor joist down below, so it's run properly the way it's supposed to be. Part that's kind of sketchy is where it comes up here through the floor. Well, that's why I buried it on the back side, so we're not going to be back here hitting it. Still getting over that cold. I'm pretty much over it, just hacking junk. Alright, sorry about the shadows, guys. We have a piece of elm here that is sitting under the workbench. We're just going to give this a test run. Turn her on, see how she goes. Pick my tools up before I lose them all. Alright, you guys ready? Well, the electric brake really works good on that, doesn't it? See how square we are. Not too bad for not adjusting that at all. Let's try another one, see what we get. That is right on the money. Here's the real one we want. Oh, it is right there. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, there, we'll get our celebratory cup of coffee in before we go in. That's exciting to have that up here. That makes me very, very happy. Oh, look at the steam come off of that. Oh, it's after midnight. I probably shouldn't even be drinking coffee. No wonder I'm up all the time. So anyway, there's one major tool out of the pit of despair and up into the wood shop. That is one of the handiest tools I own. It's just nice for quick work, things like that. We're going to have to get an outfeed and infeed table made for that, and probably with the length that that's going to end up being is we're going to probably make it a multi-purpose bench and cabinet for tools and things like that. But that's going to be, we'll get to that as we get to it. We have bigger fish to fry. The work I'm doing in the house, that'll be nice and handy. The electric brake, I don't know much on how those work, but that one definitely is not working on that, and it's supposed to have it. It says automatic brake on it, so that really should be something it has. So anyway, that's her. That's what we're into. I hope you guys enjoyed this one tonight. We'll keep plugging away. We've got the lathe to get out of the shop yet, out of the old pit of despair, and just all kinds of hand tools, things like that, drill bits. There's a ton of stuff left out there. Plus, I still have some big elm cookies out there that have been drying for 4 or 5 years now. They should be pretty darn close to being usable. Make some end tables for in the house, so that'll be nice. But anyway, hopefully soon I'll be getting back in the forge, but this does not disappoint me one bit, and I know it doesn't disappoint most of you, because a lot of you guys like your woodworking. So if you're new here and you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, all that good BS, and I will catch you on the next one.